Do you think that anxieties can prevent singles from being happy? And the reason why we have these questions, guys, because many are those who they have the kind of anxieties as the time goes by. They think, and now, will I find the love of my life or not? And of course, sometimes people started committing a little bit of mistakes. They choose wrong. They simply jump into a relationship. And this is why we have this question. Do you think that anxieties can prevent singles from being happy, and why? Let me begin with you. What do you think about? And guys, you can debate.
I think so, because a lot of times you start to get pressure, not just from like your family, but through social media, through friends, because everything now is about, oh, I need this person, I need to have someone by my side. And if you're so focused on what you don't have and you're seeing everybody else happy, it can make you think like, oh, am I ever going to be happy? Is this ever going to be me? So I think it does prevent.
And you, Liana?
I'm going to agree as well, because I think, especially if you think, oh, I need to get it done now, then it can lead you to like a relationship that you shouldn't really be in, kind of thing. If you like, instead of like waiting for the right person, you're like rushing because, oh, I'm getting to this age, or everybody around me is in a relationship.
Yeah, I think we're all going to kind of agree. I agree with what they're saying, because I think sometimes if you don't know yourself and you haven't figured out what you want in a partner, you'll end up settling for someone out of fear, and in the long run it'll actually affect you more than if you, as everyone said, just waited. So I think anxiety just shows that you're not quite secure in what you bring to the table. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's literally something that can help, that will not help, but just make you make bad decisions. So it's just like decisions that are rushed and decisions that are not properly thought of. And consequently, if you continue to have this anxiety inside of you, then you're just going to make a decision and it's going to end up leading to more things in the future that are not good for you. So it's for you to be patient, for you to think it through first, relax, you don't need to rush.
Thinking in which way? What do you think?
In the sense of looking at the pros and looking at the cons, and that requires you to take time just to sit down. Don't need to rush anything, but just really think it through and then make your decision from there. But if you're anxious, and especially going into a relationship, it's not gonna end up well if you didn't think about it carefully. If you wasn't this type of person where you were trying to do things rush, if you were just controlled, then you'll see there'll be a difference, and you will be able to see the pros and cons and then make the right decision from there.
But for example, there are people, they think that we have to how do you call it, accelerate the process. So they don't see this as anxiety, they see this as things that we have to do in life. Do you think, for example, when people want to make things in a quick way, like a rapid, like a now, do you think there is a little bit of emotion that can be mixed with their intelligence, and it become, for example, anxiety, and prevent them from, for example, once they are in the relationship, prevent them from being happy?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because it's like because it's just an excuse that you're giving to yourself. You're saying, oh, but I'll get married anyways. I'll be in a relationship anyways. But if you're going to be there anyway, so why don't you wait and do it properly? And I think it shows a lot, sort of like what Simi was saying about the insecurity that you carry within yourself. Because if you're secure in terms of who you are and what you can actually bring to a relationship, but also being secure in the promises of God for your life, you're not going to be rushing, and you're not going to be taking shortcuts when it comes to your love life, because you know how deep that area of your life is. It affects so many things. We speak mostly of like, obviously it affects our spiritual life primarily, but even down to like your finances, to your health, everything in your life is directly or indirectly linked to your love life. So for you to say, let me take care of this area that's so important of my life, let me just do it anyhow. It's like you taking a car and saying, oh, I took 2 driving lessons, but let me go and take a drive from here to Newcastle. You're going to crash and you're going to die. It's the same with your love life.
Yeah, very extreme. Well, do you think that anxiety can prevent singles from being happy? Let your comment here as well. You also can be part of the show by letting your comments here in the section below. And Melvina, you know, she was from one point, one polo to the other. But how about you? How old are you? Bring the mic closer. 20 years old. So I don't think you are anxious for your love life, are you? Hopefully not. No. Of course, I understand that we have to plan. Single, they have to plan. They cannot simply ignore it. So we have to plan. Well, I will be happy in my love life. This is not an area that you have to ignore. You cannot ignore at all. You have to fight for. You have to plan. This is why we have even question here. What's your ideal partner? Because you have to figure out in your mind. You have to plan it in your mind. But what is the difference, in your opinion, between being anxious for the love life and a person who plans for the love life, if that makes sense? Like a very complex question. So I put a big question now, a big bomb in your hands. And I would like now you say, and I know that you speak very, but you have to speak a little bit loud now, Melvina. Yes, people want to know your opinion about this.
Could you repeat the question?
So, for example, we are saying here that there are people. For example, everyone has to plan for the future. Everyone has to plan the future. The singles, they cannot simply ignore this part. Right? Do you agree with that?
Yes.
We have to plan. This is why we have the love therapy. So we have to plan. But at the same time, there are people that they confuse it. For example, I want to make things quickly. So planning is one thing. Anxiety is another thing. And the question is, why usually people they confuse a little bit about, I made a little bit, how can I say this? I exchange a little bit the question for you, if that makes sense. Why people sometimes they confuse planning to anxiety?
I think because sometimes planning, it'll help you to know, also analyze yourself, because you have to know who you are before you go into a relationship. But sometimes if you have anxieties, you will tend to overthink things and plan things the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
If it makes sense.
So, and you, Elaine, have you ever, for example, was a kind of anxious for your love life? Never. But do you know people who live, people in your bubble, people you work with, or people that you knew them from school, whatever, that they are really anxious for the love life?
Yeah. I knew some people, they were even my age, and they were saying, oh, I need to get married. I'm like, sis, relax. A little bit. They'll feel oh, I have to find a man now. I want to get married by this age. And even before, what you're saying, planning is planning. So if something doesn't go to plan, it's not it's failed. It's just a different way. But when you're anxious with it, then you're going to start worrying about it, and it's not going to go. Yeah,
because I think when, for example, you plan things, you do things according to what God wants, right? Yeah. But when you go, for example, with the anxiety way, you exchange everything, you do things in a crazy way, people even sin, people, they commit a lot of mistakes that they could not commit, and by the way, they even jeopardize their future. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I think people that struggle with anxiety are people that also struggle with letting God take control,
Mm-hmm.
because they want to be the one that gets to decide, oh, this is when this is gonna happen. Because I actually struggled with that,
Mm-hmm.
and it was only through coming to the love therapy that I had to be like, oh, I'm getting in my own way. The reasons why my love life has been the way it is, why I've made wrong decisions, is because I was the one that wanted to be in control. I was the one that was telling God, no, God, it has to be like this.
Yeah.
But the minute that I started to like just truly ask from God, because I was like tired, I was like, I keep making the same mistakes, but God, show me what I need to do. And from that moment, it's like, it's been a really good journey, because he's been showing me things about myself, so I've been able to work on me
Mm-hmm.
more, so it's taken away the anxiety as well. So it's like I've given God the control instead of being the one in control, if that makes sense.
Yes, and for example, talking about anxiety, we can see, for example, the example of Isaac. For example, Isaac waited for the moment when God came and showed to him what was the name of his wife?
Rebecca.
Rebecca. You didn't ask. You So, yeah, God showed and God gave to him Rebecca, and I do believe that to every single person there is an Isaac and also Rebecca.